Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, I'm going to be taking a look at Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the newest entry in the Kirby series for the Nintendo Switch. Plus, I want to give my thoughts on the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, the sequel to the 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog, which I just recently came back from the theaters and just saw, though. If you're interested in any gameplay footage of me playing Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I'll have links down in the description down below. You can click on the card that will appear up on this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And for parents out there, it is worth pointing out that Kirby and the Forgotten Land is rated E10, for ages 10 and up by the ESRB, while Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is rated PG, though. Kirby is sort of an interesting franchise, though. I never really got into the Kirby series until probably maybe a little bit later, though. But the series has been going on for quite some time. I believe it started out on the Game Boy, but it also has made appearance on the NES, the Super NES, though, with different titles, even onto the N64 and all, to even all the way up to the Nintendo Switch, which was, I think it was Kirby's Easy Allies, which was another 2D entry, though. So it was kind of interesting when it was announced that the next Kirby game was going into sort of a 3D platform, though, because up to this point, most Kirby games, or should I say the majority of them, have always been 2D. So taking the 3D approach was sort of interesting for Nintendo to do this, though. Well, after spending some time with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I will say that I definitely like the fact that Nintendo decided to take Kirby into a 3D realm. Not that I don't think there's anything wrong with a 2D approach, and I wouldn't mind another 2D entry, but I certainly would be open to seeing more 3D Kirby games, though, even if this one has its quirks here and there and all. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start off first with the pros, though. So what we'll talk about is the visuals, though. Now, sometimes, though, when it comes to visuals, though, sometimes a game doesn't always have to have graphical bells and whistles. Usually an art style can more than make up for any game that has any kind of graphical bells and whistles you see in a AAA type of game. And Kirby is another example, though. Most of the visuals look very nice. The characters look nice and all, though. In fact, the visuals, in a way, kind of remind me a little bit of basically Super Mario 3D World, the game that was released on the Wii U that also made its way over to the Nintendo Switch, though. But either way, the visuals definitely look nice. Some of the enemies look interesting and nice as well. It has that sort of cartoony look to it, though, and even some of the levels look really good, including like the abandoned city and all that. So from a visual standpoint, it looks good even in a 3D setting, though. The next thing I do want to talk about is the gameplay, and the gameplay is it's good, and it's familiar to past Kirby games with a different approach to a certain degree, though. Now, Kirby basically can, swallow enemies and all, and certain enemies he could swallow to basically allow him to use some of their powers. Like if he swallows an enemy with a sword, he'll be able to use a sword, and so forth, though. So it follows the tire and true formula that Kirby is known for, but this time in a more 3D setting, though. And as I mentioned about the visuals, though, even though it's 3D, it's more in line with what Super Mario 3D World is. A little bit lenient than, say, something like Mario Odyssey or anything like that. So don't expect Kirby to walk around in a Mario Odyssey type of 3D setting, though, but expect him to walk around in sort of like basically a 3D setting, kind of similar to the way it's structured, similar to how Super Mario 3D World is. New to it is the ability to for him to inhale certain objects and vehicles, though. So, like, for example, you can inhale a car, and you can use that to go around certain areas, to even going through certain walls where there might be some hidden secrets to find, though, to even basically inhaling like a vending machine to shoot out soda cans to attack certain enemies and all. Plus, you also have the ability to upgrade some of the abilities Kirby finds. Like if he finds some of these blueprints, though, and assuming he rescues a lot of the Waddies, if I'm saying the name correctly, though, he can basically use the money along with stars he can earn by competing in like special challenge levels. He can use those to upgrade basically his upgrade some of the abilities next time he swallows an enemy, like make a fire Kirby a bit more powerful, or cutter Kirby be able to throw more like blades and all. So there are certain ways to sort of upgrade your abilities, which is certainly nice though, but it still follows the formula close to what past Kirby games are, and that certainly is nice indeed, especially for those who are Kirby fans, to be exact though. And last but not least is sort of the game's difficulty, or challenging to be exact though. Now, Kirby games are known to can sometimes be easy to some folks out there, and while the game certainly does offer basically the ability to play this game on easy and normal though, but there are times when the game can be challenging, and that can be a good thing though, especially with some of the levels. You see, most of the levels though, majority or pretty much the levels I've played though, they'll have a checklist of certain challenges to complete. Most of the times it will be, find the hidden wadis though, but there may be some that you might be able to stumble upon, such as like such as maybe defeat a certain enemy with a certain power-up though, or defeat the boss under a certain time though. Some of these you can basically you'll activate, you don't even notice though. Some of these though you won't know until maybe you beat the level, where they will tell you what you haven't unlocked, and you may want to go back and do those levels again. It's kind of similar to the approach that we saw in Wario Land Shake It for the Nintendo Wii back in 2008. There are certain challenges though, and I think that's where some of the game's difficulty comes in. It provides those kinds of challenge though. I mean, most of the levels you could probably breeze through if you are familiar with the mechanics though, but doing some of these challenges though really adds to some of the difficulty though. So the game certainly can be challenging at times, and I certainly don't think that's a bad thing at all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the cons, and I want to give my thoughts on the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my video review of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And there are really only 3 cons that I could think of though. Now, and under the pros though, I did talk about how the game can be challenging at times. And it can be though, and it's basically on a checklist of challenges though. But at the same time, the game can come off as a little bit too easy for some though. If you're not really into any of the challenges though, you could pretty much breeze through the game or anything like that. I didn't see, you don't have, as far as I'm aware of, you don't have any lives in the game or anything like that, and there's like so many ways to collect power-ups to, refill Kirby's energy and all that. It does, some might not view it as basically being as challenging that some folks would make it sound like to be. I mean, it's like if you're going into this expecting this game to be like, the difficulty of Elden Rings or anything like that, no, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is not going to be like that kind of game though. I mean, for some it's going to be easy, for others it won't though. Personally, I would have loved to see them sort of made the game difficult in a level much closer to games like New Super Mario Bros. Wii and U, Donkey Kong, Tropical Freeze, and Donkey Kong Returns, Rayman Origins and Legends, or Super Mario Galaxy 2. I would have liked to see that kind of difficulty in a Kirby game, and maybe future Kirby games could have that, whether it's a 2D or 3D one. But for now, though, for some folks, though, the game's going to come off as sort of easy for some folks out there. The next thing I do want to talk about is the camera angle in the game, and sometimes I do think the camera angle could have some issues, though. While it hasn't made the game virtually unplayable or anything like that, excuse me, I will say the camera angle kind of reminds me of, as I mentioned before, Super Mario 3D World, which, I mean, sometimes you could rotate the camera, but other times it's at an angle, which can make things a little bit difficult at times, especially if you have certain power-ups that Kirby has that it requires you to sort of aim, like whether it's the gun or the bomb or anything like that. Now, granted, some of those power-ups do have cursors, and they do give you an opportunity to correct your aim, which definitely helps. Don't make no mistake though. But yeah, the camera can sometimes be an issue here and there. Again, nothing that made the game unplayable or frustrated or anything like that, but it is something to sort of like point out though. So yeah, to me, the camera can be an issue at times though. And last but not least, it's the frame rate. Now, it is worth pointing out, though, the game does run at 30 frames per second, though. Now, to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. A game running at 30 frames per second isn't necessarily bad, provided it runs at a stable 30 frames per second. That being said, though, it is a little unfortunate, though, that they don't have the game running at 60 frames per second. It would have been nice if that Nintendo and HAL Laboratory, if I'm saying the name correctly, though, would have been nice if they offered a graphical option to let us play the game at 60 FPS. Considering if you take a look at Super Mario 3D World on the Nintendo Switch, that ran at 60 FPS though. Even Bowser's Fury ran at 60 FPS when playing in dock mode, to be exact though. So it doesn't automatically ruin the game or anything like that. It's just a little disappointed that there isn't a 60 frames per second option, even if it lowers the resolution to say like 720p or something like that though. So again, nothing wrong with running at 30 frames per second, just a little disappointed it's not running at 60 frames per second though. Overall though, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a fun title for the Nintendo Switch, and it's something that longtime Kirby fans will probably enjoy, and young folks as well though. At its best though, basically the visual of the game look really nice and all that stuff. The gameplay is good though. As I mentioned, it has sort of a bit of a Super Mario 3D World vibe to it though. And the game can be challenging at times, even though it offers a easy mode or a normal mode. But at the same time, at its worst though, some folks are going to think it's going to be too easy though. The camera angle, while it doesn't make the game unplayable in any way, at least based on my time, it can be annoying every now and then. And the fact that the game running at 30 frames per second, it's somewhat disappointing because I would have liked to have it run at 60 frames per second. Like I said, 30 frames per second isn't necessarily bad. It's just a little unfortunate they couldn't get the game running at 60 frames per second. I would have liked to see it run at 60 frames per second. But either way, Kirby fans will probably enjoy this title, and it's certainly a good entry for the first time to see Kirby in a 3D setting though, and I certainly would be open to seeing future Kirby titles in a 3D setting. Not that I have anything against basically a 2D setting. I would love to see another 2D Kirby game to be exact, but I certainly would be open to seeing 3D Kirby games in the near future though. Maybe take a page out of, say, games like Mario 64 or Mario Odyssey to be exact for future Kirby games. So time will ultimately tell whether we'll see future 3D Kirby games, but in either case though, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a fun title to have for the Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo fans and Kirby fans alike will probably enjoy this title indeed. Okay, before I end this video, I want to give my thoughts on the movie Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I just recently came back from seeing it though, and it sort of amazes me back in 2019 when the first trailer was shown for it. It got hated by a lot of people because of the way Sonic the Hedgehog looked. Now, and honestly, it deserved that though. Normally, I'm very cautious of what the fandom has to say, but I would have to say in this situation they were correct. Especially when you have a fan art that could do better than a $1 million animation company. But Paramount and Sega were able to recover from this when they basically launched the second trailer, delayed the movie into February of 2020 before COVID-19 started, and it turned out in the end to be very good for them as the movie became a financial success though. So now we're here with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 though, and I will say, Mike, coming back from the movie though, I came back with the same impression I got when I saw the first one though. While I don't expect this movie to reinvent the wheel or anything like that, I will say it still is an entertaining movie nevertheless though, and definitely one of the examples of how a movie based on a video game can work when it's done correctly, though. I mean, the movie basically has Tails and Knuckles into it, though. Jim Carrey returns to do Dr. Robotnik and does a really good job with it, though. I think he's still one of the highlights for the movie, though. The sequel this time focuses a little bit on some of the backstories somewhat of the backstory of Sonic's Guardian, including you learn a little bit about Knuckles, to even introducing the Chaos Emeralds into the movie itself, though. I mean, are there moments that are kind of funny? Yeah, there was one moment where Knuckles is teaming up with Robotnik, and he reads some of the text messages Sonic is sending to his human friend and all, and then he says ... So, I mean, yeah, there are some funny moments, though. There may be some cheesy moments here and there, but like the first one, nothing that I thought came off as like, this is a kid's movie, but if you're an adult, you feel like you want to bang your head into the wall or anything like that. Though, this is the type of movie, like the first one, that both adults and kids can like, though. And this one did not disappoint in any way, though. It is worth watching, especially if you enjoyed the first one. And for those, especially if you have young ones as well, the end credit scenes at the end, or the end credit scenes, or the one scene before the credits, though, kind of give you an idea of the direction where they might go with the third film, though. So definitely keep an eye on that one, though. But either way, if you like the first one, you'll probably like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, though. Do I think it overtakes Netflix's Castlevania? In my opinion, the answer is no. I think that's in a league of its own. But this is still a good movie, nevertheless. And I do hope that Jim Carrey does return for one more time playing Dr. Robotnik. I think he's really good at it, though. I understand he wants to retire at some point. Is looking at retiring. That's understandable. But I would love for him to do one more Sonic the Hedgehog movie playing Dr. Robotnik. Just like I want him to do one more Ace Ventura and one more Dumb and Dumber. Just a final send-off, at least from my perspective. But in either case, like I said, if you like the first one, more than likely you'll like the second one as well. And I do hope to see what other characters they will introduce. Maybe Biggs the Cat, Amy, maybe some other characters we don't know about. So, but either way, it's worth taking a look at. And honestly, I think this movie probably will put pressure on Nintendo, because they're really going to have to step it up with their upcoming Super Mario movie, which they're teaming up with Illumination Productions, that has been known for doing the Despicable Me movies, though. Okay, this concludes my video review of Kirby and the Forgotten Land for the Nintendo Switch, and my thoughts on the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Kirby and the Forgotten Land? Do you think this is a good entry, good game especially for first time Kirby's 3D outing, though? Do you think the game might be too easy for some folks out there, or do you think the difficulty is just right, though? Are you bothered by the game running at 30 frames per second? Do you think it should run at 60 frames per second? Or do you think 30 frames per second is just fine, though? Do you think that they should do more 3D entries in the Kirby series, though? And what is your thought about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, the second Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie, though? Did you think the movie was good? Did you enjoy the first one? Do you think this one is better than the first one, though? Do you think Jim Carrey should do one more time playing Dr. Robotnik in possibly what could be a third Sonic the Hedgehog movie, to be exact? And are there other characters in the Sonic franchise that you would like to see appear in the Sonic the Hedgehog, in a future Sonic the Hedgehog movie, though? And what are your thoughts about the spin-off starring Knuckles that Paramount Plus is doing, though? Do you think this is a good idea for Paramount Plus and for them to do that? And do you think this could open the door to a Sonic cinematic universe? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal, me, or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!